This is numbers 1 through 4 on the Unit 1B study guide. So what we're looking at first is we're going to graph, and remember when we graph something that's in standard form, we want to start with the vertex. And to find the vertex, we use that formula where we say x is going to be equal to negative b over 2a. So looking very carefully at this, we see that a is 1 because it's 1x squared, and b is 6. So this is a is 1, b is 6, so if we put it in, it's negative the value of b, so negative 6, over that 2 times a, which was 1. So in our x part of the vertex, we've got negative 6 divided by 2, which is negative 3. Now you can go ahead and get your table set up for this, knowing that negative 3 needs to be in the middle of the table, because that's going to be your value for your vertex. So you get your calculator out, and you're going to actually plug this into the table. Remember, you're going to go to table function, and you're going to edit the function, clear anything out that's in there. Put your equation in. So in this case, we're going to plug in x, and then squared plus 6x plus 8. And so you push enter a bunch of times, and we scroll to where x is negative 3. And so we see when x is negative 3, y is negative 1. And remember, we're going to go 2 numbers to the left and to the right of this. So then we can look and say, okay, well, on negative 5, we should have gotten a 3. And then at negative 4, we should have gotten a 0. Just in case you don't have a calculator, another way you can do this is by hand. You just got to plug it in. So you have to think negative. You're going to put a negative 2 into here and here. So negative 2 times itself is 4. And then we're going to add that to 6 times negative 2, which is 12. So 4 plus negative 12 is negative 8. And then the negative 8 here plus the 8 gives me 0. Then we do it again. We put a negative 1 in here. So negative 1 times itself is 1. 1 plus 6 times negative 1 is negative 6. So 1 plus negative 6 is negative 5. Negative 5 plus 8 is 3. So you can do this by hand if you need to. All right, so we're going to plot those points. So we plot the point negative 5, 3. Plot the point negative 4, 0. Negative 3, 1. Negative 2, 0. And then negative 1, 3. And then remember, do your best to make sure it looks like a U at the bottom, not a V, because this is a parabola. So here we go. There's our function. Now, it says, what is the vertex? Well, the vertex was that place where it changed direction. So our vertex in this problem is this point right here, the negative 3, negative 1. Remember that the axis of symmetry, that's what AOS means, axis of symmetry, is that line that would cut this parabola perfectly in half. It makes it symmetrical. So it's that invisible line that's right here. The equation for that line is an x equals, and what's x equal to? X is equal to this negative 3. You see it in the vertex. X equals negative 3. The value of x is negative 3. Make sure you write the axis of symmetry as an equation. It must include x equals. All right, the domain. The domain is the smallest x value to the largest x value. Since this graph goes on forever to the left, the smallest x value possible is negative infinity. Since it goes forever to the right, the largest x value possible is positive infinity. In other words, it's all real numbers. Any number can be x. The range, on the other hand, you'll notice we have a small point, a place where it cannot go past, like it's got a minimum value here. So here it stops when y is equal to negative 1. So when y is negative 1, that's the bottom. Range is the set of your y's. So since it actually starts with the smallest value being negative 1, and it can actually be negative 1, you'll use a square bracket. Comma, the largest possible value that it can be is this number way up here, which it goes on forever, would be positive infinity. So we only use the square bracket when it actually lands and stops on that number. All right, and then it says x-intercepts. That means where does it cross the x-axis? Well, look, it crosses the x-axis here and here, so we just need to name those points. In this case, it's negative 4, 0 and negative 2, 0. That's the ordered pairs right here and here where it crosses. So those would be your final answers to questions 1 through 4.